Then, yeah. So what do you do in your position with Hershey's?
So I work in chocolate product development for our seasonal variety and our grocery group. So our seasonal products being all the seasons, the holiday, Valentine's, Halloween, and variety brands being like the Cadbury brands and brands that are not the Hershey and Reese and Kit Kat brand, and then also our baking chips and our syrups.
And so what does a typical day look like for you? What are some like tasks that you might do?
So I would say no day is really typical, which is fun, which is what I
Sure.
like, one thing that I like about it. So, but a lot of times it's we're working on benchtop formulas that I'm in the building today making samples for one of my holiday 2021 projects. So doing a lot of formulations, tastings, making different iterations, tweaking formulas, and then obviously the day-to-day meetings of the various projects on, capabilities, working a lot with actually manufacturing and our what we call our supply chain folks to make sure that we can make products in the plants, because just because you can make it benchtop doesn't mean you can scale it up in a plant environment.
For sure. And so for our students, when you say benchtop, like benchtop formulations, what does that mean?
So like we would work in our lab and we would maybe make, I'll use syrup as an example because it's a good example, like where you can make one bottle of syrup, which is basically 750 grams. And then once we figure out the formulations, and we would move it to our pilot plant facility. We have a pilot plant in our building where we can mimic manufacturing conditions, so we can make sure that processes are relatable. We can make maybe like 100-gram, 100-pound batch. So you go from like a bottle to like a couple bottles to, maybe like 50 bottles to then a lot of times then we go to a plant to do a production trial to make sure you can make it in the plant. And our syrup line, for example, runs 54,000 pounds for a batch. So you're going from 750 grams, 54,000 pounds. So that's why you want to make sure you get everything right in the meantime.
Sure. So you work a lot on testing the small batches first and getting everything just right before you scale it up. Cool.
Yeah, because a lot of times,
go
I was just going to say that a lot of times, we might want to have like, I made like 18 different variants of this one product at one point to do like some experiments, like you add or subtract different ingredients, percentage levels and things like that. And then you finally narrow it down.
Yeah, for sure. So for our second question, what do you love about your career?
I like the creativity of food science and product development, because a lot of times we get concepts from marketing telling us how they want us to make the product, basically like what it should look like, but we have a lot of say on how to make it happen. So that's kind of the creativity. I love playing with different flavor variants of products. Like if I'm trying to think of a different flavor, like some of my coworkers had developed the lemon Kit Kats, so they would look at the different lemons and, try to get those types. And there's like an apple pie Kit Kat, and they would try to make sure they work with the vendors to get like an apple pie flavor and like even crust and things like that.
So it's sort of you're blending the creativity and the artistic side with the science of what can we actually
and how it can happen, and then the creativity. So and then cool. My other favorite part is actually seeing your product on the shelf.
What do you find most challenging about your work?
I would say sometimes Working with marketing you want to have it deliver what they want to deliver, but sometimes the challenge is manufacturing doesn't allow that to happen, the constraints. So it's educating marketing on what you can and cannot do. And if you can't do something, not telling you can't do it, but like, I can't do this, but here's what we can do.
Mm-hmm, mm-hmm. Yeah, you work with a lot of different people with a lot of different backgrounds.
Yes. So it's also like educating them from the science perspective, because a lot of them are not, they're business related. So not understanding your technical hurdles. So,
what are some challenges that the food science industry is facing right now? And is there anything that Hershey's is, looking at specifically?
I would say, it seems like a lot of people like with the sugar reduction and clean label. I know back in, we were doing a clean label. I developed a clean label syrup, Simply 5, which has 5 ingredients and no high fructose corn syrup, because people were hearing about the supposed evils of high fructose corn syrup. So, and we made that non-GMO project verified. So I think a lot of that type of thing, getting verifications, people are looking at organic products. But I've seen a lot of with sugar reduction, people wanting to reduce sugar.
So for our students, what steps would you recommend to someone wanting to maybe follow a career in food science?
So my career was actually a little convoluted, but
sure, let's hear about it.
I actually was a history major at Penn State before switching to food science. So I would definitely suggest the chemistry classes and all those, the biology class, like all your science classes. And even if you would know people if people would know, people in the food industry, to reach out to them. I know we've had, high school students come and spend a day with us and get to see the hands-on activities, but definitely the networking would be a key.
Yeah, that's good that you say that. It's always, I think one thing that students really like hearing is all of the different pathways for people to end up where they are, because you think your life's going to go one way and it doesn't. I mean, for example, I'm a bakery science major, and I thought I was going to go into the industry, and now I'm a master's student, and I decided to keep going to school, and I absolutely love it. So yeah, it's always cool to hear when somebody started out one path and then tried something new. And I think it's good for the students to hear, you can change your mind or have some different interests and explore what that looks like.
Yeah, I wanted to be a corporate lawyer. So I like law, and I really still find, and I love history. I do find history very fascinating. I have a minor in history. But then I got to know a little bit more about food science. Actually, when I worked as a summer job at a Godiva chocolate store, and it was a little slow at the store. Like, I was just a retail salesperson there at the store, and I was reading about chocolate, and it's kind of what got me intrigued about food science, and didn't really, back in my day, really didn't know about food science. I think now people do know more about it, especially I think thanks to the Food Network.
Yeah, that's probably how I got into it. I liked to watch Cupcake Wars as a kid, and here we are.
Yeah, well, I met Alton Brown at an event, and I'm like, oh, like, I mean, he's like the food science, like because he explains science and
right. Is there anything else that you'd like to say to students interested in STEM fields or in food science specifically? Anything else come to mind? It's kind of on the spot.
trying to think. I mean, I would definitely look into what you think will make you happy and excited, because you're going to be doing your job for probably 40 some years. So
Mm-hmm.
you should definitely be happy with what you are and excited about going to work and having fun. I mean, I say, when people ask me what I do, I say I play with food.